Hey everybody, it's your boy Cedric Goodman, coming to you from New Brunswick, New Jersey, exit 9. It's going down, and your boy's trying to give up some good information as usual, trying to help you, uh, help himself. I'm still growing, still learning, still pressing forward, and thanking God for each and every day. And I hope you are too. But today I decided to do a video because I haven't done one in several months now, because I've been kind of preoccupied with family problems and other issues concerning the community and that I've been involved in that's been taking my time. And today I just wanted to do a video to basically just discuss some things that's been on my mind, on my chest, about the current economical, the current social, and the current political situations and apparatus that we all are facing, and to give you a broad picture of how it's very important now in the times that we're living in to get involved in the political discourse. Why do I say that? Why do you say that, Cedric? I hate politics. Well, I hate politics too. Never liked politics. I always hated politics. It's been hypocritical to me ever since I can remember. But unfortunately, we've left the decision-making responsibility on how we're going to be governed and how we're going to live our lives to other people. And in my view, those people have made some good choices and made some bad choices. And it has affected us all the way from the federal level down to the local municipal level. The states are hurting and suffering because of the policies of the past and probably the present as well. But we haven't really, our community haven't really learned how to get involved and become part of the solutions rather than being part of the problems, and not engaging ourselves in the political process of learning how and where the problems occur. In my personal growth, my personal political maturity in the past several years, I've come to realize that those legislators and policymakers, and of course those behind the scenes, who are the corporate interests, the private sector corporate interests, corporate control, financial donors that control politics, play a huge role in the current fiscal, social, economical, and political conditions that everyone's living in. So I'm affected by it like you, but I'm learning to understand that as an advocate for reform, as an advocate for change, to better help us in our daily lives, we can no longer sit on the sidelines and let other people decide how we should live. So I didn't choose politics, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but politics somehow chose me. And I've been just basically doing everything voluntarily here in the city of New Brunswick while caring for my responsibilities. And I've suffered for it financially, socially as well, because it takes a lot of your time and energy. And but sometimes we have to put our selfish needs aside and realize that sometimes God calls us to do things that we really don't understand even why we're doing it. So I'm going to just do this video a little bit, give you some information and try to talk to you and get you to see, my point of view. And of course, you have your point of view, and we can debate the issues and argue on the points. But I want you to see what I'm talking about so you'll be better informed, so that you can make an informed decision on what you're going to do with your life, whether you're going to support organizations, religious organizations, social, political, economical, whatever you're going to support and give your money to, or give your money and time to, so that you know who's the players and what role they play in a bigger scheme of things. So I'm going to touch on some things in New Brunswick that I think is important, Because what I've seen, what I've come to know from being born here and raised here, moving away and coming back here, I see that the community, one, has changed, of course. We see that over the past 10, 15, 20 years. But I also see a lot of concerns and issues that have not been addressed but exacerbated and exploited. Such as, so I'm going to talk about New Brunswick, New Jersey, and the community right now, and why I've been so adamant in trying to write, speak, and advocate for reform in areas to help my quality of life and help other residents' quality of life, so that we may maintain our standard of living as well. Politics is an ugly game, very ugly game. People do things for titles. People do things for money. People kiss up to other people, cutthroat other people. You know, the name of the game is credibility. Assassinating someone's character, assassinating someone's credibility, or trying to find some dirt on that particular individual or that particular person whom is a threat to them socially, economically, or politically. And, you know, these are things that I've learned in the past few years. You know what I'm saying? It's gotten personal concerning elections and concerning policies and views, which I understand now because, one, if I'm making $150,000 a year and here comes a new political party or a new political person who says, no, I don't deserve to make $150,000 a year, I deserve to make $75,000 a year, we're going to have different viewpoints. Because if your lifestyle is going to be changed and affected and altered, then you're going to be on the opposite side of that issue. Whereas though I may say, well, we need to cut back. You need to take a salary cut. Why do you need to take a salary cut, Mr. Goodman? Why do I need to take a salary cut, Mr. Goodman? Well, because we want to hire 3 or 4 people who desperately need jobs. So we're going to be at different odds over that particular issue. And that's what politics normally is about. It's not personal. We sometimes in the community, on the lower spectrum of information, we take things personal. It's not personal. The city that I live in, New Brunswick, is controlled by Johnson & Johnson. You have other enormous billion-dollar conglomerates here, such as Robert Johnson, UMDMJ, St. Peter's University. You have other entities that play a role, New Brunswick Tomorrow, John J. Heldrich. You have the Puerto Rican Action Board. You have the Hispanic Alliance, the Latino Alliance. You have religious organizations, Irish, Portuguese. You have a lot of different elements here in the city of New Brunswick that all play a role, have a role to play in the maintenance of the city of New Brunswick and the policies and the direction that the city is currently going. And of course you have the political establishment. So mind you, I've spent the last few years learning and growing and maturing in these areas to understand that you have to work within the confinements of the political structure, which I understand. I didn't understand at first because I thought, like most people who are idealists, think that democracy really exists in the country, but unfortunately that's a lie. We live in a dictatorship, believe it or not, and we are pawns of a select few individuals who control and dictate the policies of this country, along with the international bankers and those who control the money. But anyway, getting back to my community, my city. New Brunswick, in the past 20 years, I have seen, or we have seen, the African American community be removed, displaced, targeted, and exploited, in my view, because economically, socially, and politically. Their presence is no longer evident as it once was with the economic development and direction that the city has taken, the policies that it has taken to revamp the downtown district areas with the new constructions, investments coming in from outside sources and things like that to cater to the, what I would say is the outside special interests. And the urban community where I live and where many other people live has been neglected, in my view, and has not been given the same attention as the downtown districts. There's no condos, high-rise condos in the urban community. The senior citizen buildings have been put up to centralize our seniors, and many of the homes that were predominantly owned by African Americans and Puerto Ricans actually are no longer owned by them. You have very few African Americans who still own their homes or their families, remnants of the families that was here for 40, 50, 60, even 100 years. First, second, third, fourth generations of people. So a lot of changes have taken place under the current administration. Some may agree and some may not agree. I don't agree with all the policies makers and all the policy decisions that have affected the community. So my role has been in the past 4 years actually, has been to grow, learn, evaluate, assess, and implement, and try to become part of the solution and not the problem. But I've been met with a lot of resistance from the Cahill administration, and targeted as well for various reasons, I guess. But that's understandable. We're going to have different viewpoints, different opinions when things affect you directly or indirectly. So recently, though, New Brunswick had another shooting of an African American male, and this particular gentleman I knew personally. I grew up with him, and I was very offended by the fact that I've been working on, myself and a few others have been working on reform efforts for the past 3.5, 4 years consistently, from supporting wards, from supporting new committee members, street signs, roads, fully paved roads, not patched. I've also proposed jobs, economic development opportunities for residents in writing to Mayor Cahill, and I have documents. I have supporting documents to prove that. Also, I proposed to purchase a building and turn it into a additional service provider for the African American community. That was also shelved. I've also proposed a street name change that we have downtown called George Street. I wanted to change it into Martin Luther King Jr. Street or Boulevard or Drive. That was met with opposition by the administration and some other African Americans as well. I won't get into the politics of that, but as we can see, our nation has just honored this great man in Washington by establishing a huge monument, but yet New Brunswick has no honoring African American male or female to that level, and the contributions that they have made to this history of this city. I live next door to Joyce Kilmer House, which was named after Joyce Kilmer, a poet and someone who was in the military. The whole street was named after him. And Joyce Kilmer is a very long street as well. It actually travels up into North Brunswick, and it's identical to Livingston Avenue. But there has been a very, very strong effort to eradicate and eliminate and silence, and even silence the black voice and suppress the black vote. The only time that we see our elected officials here in the city of New Brunswick is during election time, when they come out and spread money and influence and things like that to get support, to keep the status quo in power. Personally, I don't have a problem with any establishment as long as it's catering to the needs and well-being of the people that they're supposedly elected to represent. And as far as getting back to to my friend, associate who I grew up with, Barry DeLoach, he was murdered by 2 police officers who, as we all know, which is still under investigation. But He was shot in the back